everybody, welcome to Next Garage, and today we are going to take the rear end out of the 67 Firebird. Okay, so here's some of the things we're going to use. I use a drill with a wire brush on it to clean my threads all the time, that or a wire brush. I just think the nuts come off easier, especially if they're rusted, if they have cleaner threads. So flashlight, impact gun, sockets and wrenches. This is just kind of a list I made of the different size sockets and wrenches I need to take some of the stuff off. So we'll go over here. May end up using my little block stands, not sure yet. Jack stands. I'm going to try and use those dollies to pull the rear end out. Inside here, because I'm not using this floor pan, I'm replacing the floor pan. I cut notches in here because those bolts right here, those are so rusted. These are the Shackle bolts. I'm not reusing those either. So those things are so rusted. I tried even just getting a breaker bar on there with a socket, couldn't budge them. So Sawzall, cutting them off, face guard, hammer, more Sawzall bits, channel locks, bolt, bigger hammer just in case, and my chisels. That's not a screwdriver, that's a chisel. So yeah, so we'll get into doing this. Safety wise, use your own judgment. I'm trying to be as safe as possible, and that's all I can do. So you do what you got to do. Oh, and don't forget you need a jack too. All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to jack up the rear end, take the tires off, put the jack stands underneath, lower the rear end a little bit, keeping a little bit of pressure off of the rear end, and then we'll start taking the different components for the spring shackles and the traction bar off, but I will show you that when we get to it. Front end's coming up off the ground, so we're gonna get a bag of helpers. So what I did is I put a couple ratchet straps on here to hold this front end down because the back end is way too heavy and it was just tipping back. So what I did is I actually put just a bag of rocks and a bag of softener salt on there, which was plenty enough to hold it down, but I had that anchor in the floor from previous project, and thought, what the heck, why not? So that's what I got going on. So let's get to removing the wheels. So as you can see, wheels are off. I put a little bit more pressure up underneath the pumpkin so it wouldn't have so much downforce when I start loosening this stuff, hopefully. You know, next garage stands for no experience, basically, because I've never done this before. Never done any body work, mechanical work, engine work. So if I can do this, you can do it. So don't be afraid to jump into a project like this. So let's get to taking these shocks out. We're gonna get up through the trunk and we'll take the nut off up on top, and hopefully we won't have to take the shock plate off that's up underneath here. You can hear me, right there is the nuts we're taking off. This is the top of the shock. This is the shock plate I'm talking about. I hope I don't have to take this off because there's bolts underneath that come up through here, and these are rusted pretty bad. So hopefully I can take this little jam nut off, then take the nut off, and then hopefully the shock will come out on the bottom when we disconnect it on the bottom. So let's give it a shot. And by the way, I do feel pretty comfortable. I checked to make sure that this, well, that wasn't even hardly loose. I checked to make sure that this car was really stable before I get in it. I do not like taking chances, so. All right, here we go. Get this off. Obviously these shocks haven't been in here for 55 years like a lot of this stuff has. Not quite as rusty, and nuts come right off. That's also why I wire brushed this and put a little PB blaster on it so that I could get it off of there. It looks like somebody put some anti-seize on there at one time. Get that bushing off so that it drops down in there. Grab a screwdriver. Heck yeah, look at that. No, I've never taken shock off before, but you know, all the stuff that I do, that I'm doing here, I've got off of YouTube videos. Brian from Arrowhead Garage, I watched him do his rear end removal, and so that's where I'm getting a lot of my stuff. He's check out his channel. It's Arrowhead Garage. He does Porsches, and he's doing a '67 Firebird also. And, what we got is that nut right there. That's a 5/8 nut onto a bolt for the shock absorber right here. See what we can do here. Alright, well, I can turn it. Alright, let's get the breaker bar out. Alrighty, let's see here. There we go. Alright. If it breaks, it breaks. The bolt breaks, it breaks. I don't really care. They make bolts every day. So. Boom, broke. Grab my little hammer and tap that out of there. Hammer, drift pin. Well, that's what I'm gonna do to get it out. So, well, you can see how dry and rusted that was. I should have squirted a little bit more inside the bushing part here, inside right in here, to lube that up. Hopefully it would slide out better, but we got it. A little bit bigger hammer, drift pin, anything to pound it out. And now we're ready to take that shock out, I hope. So let's just see. Drop it. Well, it dropped down. Let's see. There we go. shock is out. That's a win. All right, let's do the other side. I took the nut and the jam nut off up on the top of the shock. We already went through that. Shouldn't need to see that again. Anyway, so now we're gonna do the nut down here. Boy, there's about 5 washers on this. They must have found a bolt that's laying around, and that was the longest one they had or something. I don't know if they make a bolt longer than that. But anyway, we'll see how this one goes. I've got the breaker bar on standby and the big hammer just in case. So it was so coated with rust and stuff right there. I just took my channel locks and lightly put them on the threads like this, because there was no way that bolt was coming out, and then put the impact on it and just ran it. Put very little pressure on the channel locks, so now that bolt, hopefully, it's like wants to come out. Channel lock's not right. There. All right, as you can see, it's pretty dry. So the more PB Blaster or lube or whatever you use, air coil, I don't know, the better. Pull this down. There we go. Second shock out. Another win. That one didn't take too long, but now onto the traction bar. So next thing, traction bar. I don't know if you can see it. Here's my jack stand right here. I am not going to crawl under the car. I'm only going to put my arm under there. So right here is the traction bar. It was only on one side on the 67. This was originally a 6-cylinder car, so I understand that they only put them on the passenger side. So what I got to do is take, I don't know if you can see the bolts up there, bolt there, a bolt here, and then there's a bolt on the back side. I will admit that I did loosen these up first because I did not want to be fighting them underneath the car while it's up on jack stands. So yeah, so remember, safety first. All right, I'm gonna try to do this one-handed here. Let's see here, 9/16. There's one. I don't know if you can see the one on the back side there. That must be it. Ah, dang flashlight. And the last one right here. And there it goes. So traction bars loosened up. So onto these front spring cups. They sit in these cups here. So I got 1, 2. I broke that one off because I was trying to loosen it up. And then I believe there's another one tucked up somewhere. Right up in here, I think. Yep, right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's right there. So 1, 2, and that one's missing. So we'll do those next. I'm not going to try and hold this camera underneath there. I showed you where they are, and I'll try and get them out of there, and obviously I'll let you know if I had any problems. All right, well, I got 2 bolts spinning. So this bolt right here broke free from its holder, so I'm going to put a pair of vice grips on it to hold it, and then the other one I'll have to show you. It's underneath here somewhere, but obviously the floor pan's getting replaced, so I really don't care if I have to cut the floor pan or cut the bolt off. doesn't matter. So, all right, let's see here. Vice grip's attached, so we'll see. All right, guys and girls, not a win situation. Had to grind that bolt head off. Had to, the one up here, had to grind that bolt head off. And luckily that other one broke off before, so that didn't take but forever. So yeah, on to the next side. Okay, this side is free. Driver's side's free. Tell you what, if you need to save your floor pan, you have to be very careful getting those bolts out. I don't know how I would have done it if I didn't grind them off, because those were so rusted. They weren't coming off at all. Here's the tools I had to use: Dremel tool, grinder, impact, vice grips, channel locks. Just about threw the whole kitchen sink at it. Hammer, bigger hammer, and my little chisel. It's not a screwdriver, it's a chisel. So anyway, okay, so next is going to be removing the shackle bushings for the leaf spring. I'm going to cut that bolt off and try and send that bolt through the back side over here and get that detached. It's rusty, everything's rusty. I'm replacing this, like I said, this floor trunk, so I'm trying to do it from up here because I don't want to get underneath the car, safety wise, and try beating stuff out. So that's what that is. That's what we're going to try and take it apart. But as you can see, that's the shackle bushing right here, and so the leaf spring's got to come out. So I don't know if you can see the one on the other side. So I'm going to try and do that from the top, so bear with me here. All right, let's get into it. Boom. Pretty loud. It's pretty tough getting through that, but these Milwaukee Torch Sawzall blades, they cut black iron pipe for old drain and vent stacks in your house and stuff, and I use these for a toilet that I was replacing. Excellent. These things really cut. So I recommend these. You get what you want, but these things really go through the hard stuff. All right, so now we need to get that bolt out of there. So we're gonna use this. I'm gonna use another bolt. That's moving. So this, yeah. All right, let me get my drip pin. All right. As you can see, this is why I like doing it from up top here, because I don't like pounding and being under here. Yeah, the car's pretty stable, but better safe than sorry. So I don't know what that's gonna do when it comes out. Let's try and pull this out. All right, shackle bushing one. I'll do the next one. I don't think you need to see me do the next one. If there's any issues with it, I'll explain to you what I did with it. All right, so I'm getting ready to drop this down. I'm gonna try and use my little dollies here to let the rear end sit on so I can roll it out. Just a note that before I started all this, obviously I took off the brake lines and the emergency brake. That's all disconnected, and the fuel lines and the fuel tank is gone, so that makes this a lot easier. So grinding the bolts off isn't so easy, but let's get to pulling this out. All right, there you have it. Rear end is out. Now I'll just dismantle the rear end. All right, so that's it for the rear end removal. So this is all just unbolting stuff. Then I'm gonna check out the rear end, get it cleaned up, see if it's worth saving or if I need to replace it. It's only a 10 bolt, so I may replace it with a 12. I don't know. I just wanna get the car back up and running, and I got a long way to go. So I'm in no hurry. Like I said, I've got no experience, so if I can take this thing out myself, all by myself, you can do it. Brian from Arrowhead Garage, I watched his video on taking this out. I may have done a couple of things different, but he gave me the confidence on doing this right, and I talked to John at Vinyl Village Garage, or actually messaged him and asked him, and so I did it the same way they did. So if I can do it, you can do it. Have a good day.